So we're starting on the back fender. I will be pulling the light off. Just a few things to point out. You can see that there's bubbles right here that have come through. There is a crack in the Bondo. You can tell that whoever put this on had put a lot of Bondo into this, so I'll be sanding and cleaning that out a little bit and then adding some more of my Bondo, I guess, to cover the Bondo, and trying to sort that out. I'll be pulling this whole fender off and tackling the rust, so I'll probably just clean that up. I kind of want to sandblast that, but I'll see how I can do with the steel brush, how that comes up. But mostly it's back there. There's quite a bit of rust in there. Sort of Swiss cheese and rust up there. And that's just a normal hole that's in the sort of the frame assembly. So I'm not exactly sure what's supposed to be there, but we will examine and probably watch some YouTube videos to try to figure some of that out. So I'm going to set you up, and I might even try a little bit of time lapse and see if we can't make this look fairly good. Well, we have it off now, and this rust, there's a lot more rust here than I first imagined, so I have to get my wire wheel out. But just on first examination, now, on first glance, we saw those holes, but I didn't catch all the rust that was here. So I'm going to have to cut some of this out, put some heavier metal. Could be some tin welding behind, some heavier metal over the top. Look like it's rusted from right there to there. And this is a real concern, and I don't know what to do. You can literally feel like this just totally pops, and you can just see it crunch, crunch. And they didn't have this up high enough to begin with, but it's literally right from there, like the whole piece of Bondo is literally ready to crack out. So it doesn't look like to me that they had it big enough in there, and I am terrified to rip into that. I don't know what to do. Well, this is where we're at now. I cut out a big chunk of that rust, and just trying to line this up. Now I recognize I've gone a little bit too far there, but that was rusted, so I'll just have to adapt. Trim a few holes, allow that wire to work in there, and get everything sorted out accordingly. But right now it's more important to me to get the rust out. So I'll likely put this piece in, cut it, weld it, have everything in place the way it needs to be. And then I'll cut that piece out and put that in. But first of all, this is going to get cut out, and I'm just going to put a piece of metal in there and replace that chunk of rust. So that should look good. I'm still very perplexed with what to do there. There's a part of me that just wants to yank on it and pull it off, but I know that would probably be a colossal error in judgment. So I'm just giving some ponderance right now and seeing what I'm going to do. Well, it's a new day, and I've been doing some work here. I'm pretty happy with where we're at so far. I'm not very happy though with how much rust there is in this wheel well. It really is quite something. I have a new piece coming for this whole piece here, and it hasn't got here yet, so when it does, I'll see exactly how it fits and what all I can cut off and then replace. I have a hunch I'll have to be taking this bolt out and lifting the body up a little bit, but I probably can just by putting something in there and just lifting a wee bit. It probably will give me enough clearance to get it in and out. That's pretty sad, but right now I'm going to start working on this back quarter panel, and I've marked where the other one sits, and I just have to cut it. I'm going to cut it about half an inch or so in and do it. Now I notice that mine doesn't have this bump on it, so I may have to modify or make some adjustments around that, but that's all very doable. We can do that very easily. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'll be trimming back down here and up along here. The new panel has those bolt holes in it, so I'll be all right with that. So yeah, that's stage number 2. We'll see how that goes. Well, first, a little something to show you guys. So isn't that pretty? Yeah, I worked hard on that piece. There's a piece right in here. This piece here. So I kind of laid a piece in and traced a bit, and I said, well, and I knew I couldn't really weld against here. So I was just going to clean that up real good and just pop rivet it onto there. And then on the front of this is a spot weld. And so I have the right height out there. Those corners line up real nice. So just a little bit of bunting back and forth, and that'll work out just fine. But don't know how I got the measurement that far off. But that is a long way off. So I'll have to recut this. And I guess this piece will just go into the experience pile. So, all right, we're off. Well, this is where we've gotten to so far. I'm relatively happy. The welds are coming along. I will need to weld in between each one of those welds. And the same along there. There is a bit of a gap down there, but I'll fix that up. I cut the rust out of there. Like I said, I have the whole new panel coming. And so apart from doing this over here, that's about as far as I can go until that panel shows up. And then I'll know exactly what I'm working with. I could perhaps work, you know, there's some rust issues down there, so I could probably start peeling at that. But again, I don't know how big that panel is, so I want to know how big that is before I go much further. But yeah, that's coming along. So that's that side. And just a wee bit of Bondo on that side. And where that's gotten to there. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm on to bigger and better. Now you remember there was a big rust hole here that I've ground out. It's a big rust hole here that was, and I'm not sure if there's a canister or something that used to be here, but I've thrown that piece out now, but you can see it earlier in the video. And now that's kind of rusted there. I'll see if I can't clean that up. It feels solid on the backside, so we'll see if I can clean that up. And I'm not exactly sure what that's about. I'll have to grind at that a bit. Anyway, I have my piece here. And there's the piece that's to replace. And so what I'm going to be doing is along this edge, I'll be cutting it really close to here. Along the top, I'm going to cut it just above where this rust is, because it gives you a lot of latitude here. So I'll probably bring it down to about here. Bring it right around, follow this right around, and come out into here. Now if you notice, that's quite rusty right there, but then that comes all, that part of it's all new. So I'm actually pretty happy with this panel, and we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to just set you up and take you along for the ride. Well, here we go. Some of the stuff. This is not metal. This is the, I don't know, called the putty or the caulking from the inside. And what had actually happened is that moisture got in there and actually was rusting from the inside out. And that's what created a lot of the rust. I'll be welding in a little piece here, rolling it under here. And that won't be too hard to do. Clean that up, and then I am going to be putting another lip on all the way along here, welding it to here, and then dressing that up real good. Actually, I'll see how far I have to do it. Maybe just a little bit there. I'm going to try to clean all the rust up here, but I don't want to lose this lip, because I'll be drilling through and plug welding that from the outside here in, and I'll clean that up a bit. I got a little bit messy, and I'll actually put a lip here and then plug weld that also. So I got a little bit of clean up and fix up to do before I can start welding in. But then the good part is that this okay, I'm not going to just get in easy, but I'll have to show you after it gets it in. But it'll sit in there real nice. And this bolt hole will fit in perfect with the bolt hole here. So it just bolts right in there. And we'll be doing that. I'm not exactly sure if I can lower this somehow. I think this was supposed to be done with this all out of the way. So we'll see if I think with a wee little bit of finesse and some encouragement, I think it'll all come together. It may have to bend this up out of the way just a wee little bit. This may have to go up a bit in order for me to get that piece in. So, but I'm thinking that we're a long way along. And like I said, there is some rust here. I'm a little bit concerned, but that's the floor pan inside the vehicle, and that's actually quite solid and like that solid. So I'll be cleaning that up with a steel brush, clean that up, and then I'll be welding an L up here, all the way here, so that it can have the L all the way here, so I can plug weld. And this also has a pretty fair lip on it, so I'll just see how far that'll take me around the corner. And I may not have to put much of a lip on there, but just to weld from the bottom side. Now this, as this gets welded to this, that's going to be providing a lot of the strength, and then the plug welding along here will sort of double. Plug welding along here will actually double the strength. I'll clean this up as best I can. There's quite a bit of metal there, so I should be able to take care of that to not worry about strength there. But yeah, I'm kind of glad to have that ugly piece out of there. And here you can see from the back side, you can see how it how this rusted, and especially right here, right along here. And now that was right here, so that was very rusted, and moisture basically just got in between the seam here. And so I hope when I have that all welded in, and then I'm going to do a lot of sealing in there, and I'll be using that undercoating to hopefully seal that all up real well. So yeah, I think I'm almost done with the cutting. Now it's time to start the rebuilding, and a lot of brush work to get that all nice and cleaned up. But this is just the caulking from the inside of the vehicle, so I'll be able to sort that out. Well, this is as far as I've gotten right now. Look back there. I cleaned up most of that rust. I also took off as much of that as I could. I'll be drilling through here in a number of places and plug welding. I'm taking care of that. And I do have it coming all the way around this edge. And you'll notice that this is sticking out a little bit, so I am going to slide a piece in behind here and then weld this and weld that. But I like the fact that this has a nice thick lip that comes right underneath, and most of the welding is going to be from inside. If you notice, it's kind of hard to see, but I can get all the way along and be welding from the inside. So most of the welding is going to be done from inside here. You can see the piece that I took out and the piece that it replaces, so I'll be able to push that in. So I'll be able to push that in, and I'll draw it together here. So I'll draw it and pull that in, and all the way along to the back, all the way, and then I'll weld it from the inside, and weld it all the way up those edges and around, and then I'll take the sander and polish that up and make that look really good. I'll remove most of the carpet and stuff from here. Don't want it catching on fire on me, but most of that will be so you can see where I'll be doing all the welding all the way around the inside there. Then around the corner, and I cut all the weld, and you can see that down here, right there, most of that is actually putty that was put in when the car was built, and so I'll be peeling that out and replace, and I may replace it, but I'll peel it out of there, cut it all out so that I can go in there and weld it up and make it all look good. So that's where we're at right now. I'm fairly pleased. Got most of the rust out of there, and now I just have to suck the two pieces together and then start just spot welding all over, and I'll be doing a bunch of plug welding with it too. If you notice, I have that basically lined up as right where it needs to be. Can't find the bolt, but I will find it, and I'll put that back in. Now, that's really the only piece that I needed to line up with the other piece, and so everything else I can push together, bunt it, and make it work. So we'll be working at this for a little bit. I can guarantee you that it's going to take some finessing to get this to work right, but I have complete confidence that with a big enough hammer and some boards and a couple of things to draw it together, I'll be able to finesse this just fine. So yeah, we'll keep working at it. If you notice, I have that basically lined up as right where it needs to be. Can't find the bolt, but I will find it and I'll put that back in. Now it's really the only piece that I needed to line up with the other piece, and so everything else I can push together, bunt it, and make it work. So we'll be working at this for a little bit. I can guarantee you that it's going to take some finessing to get this to work right, but I have complete confidence that with a big enough hammer and some boards and a couple of things to draw it together, I'll be able to finesse this just fine. So yeah, we'll keep working at it. Here we are, and this is where we're at. I got that in. I used some pop rivets to draw it all together, and I've welded all the way around it there. I welded that all over there. Then I cut a patch between the two of them. Well, getting ground off, and I put in the patch over there, tying it all together, getting good penetration with the welds. I can tell because I have little fires that break out on the inside as I weld through the paint on the inside from the outside. But that's okay. My handy dandy fire extinguisher. Put them out. And so yeah, I'm grind off a little bit more, and I'm ready to throw a little bit of Bondo just to cover all the edges and to stop any moisture from getting in behind, and therefore stopping the rust, and then protecting it all with primer and a paint, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. This side will be basically done, which is amazing. So then I'll start working on a paint job. Here we are, final product. Now you can still see some of the welds. Again, that's okay. I'm fairly happy with that. I mean, it's certainly not, I'm not going to become a body man, and any body people out there that see this, yeah, be kind. But for a rookie who's just figuring it out, I'm fairly pleased. Most important things, I got pretty good penetration on all the welds. I pushed on them, pulled on them, and all that, and they all stuck pretty deep. I'm happy with that. I made a patch right down there. Can't really see it, but it's right in there was a hole, and so I cleaned out all the rust and tidbits and welded a patch right over that, cleaned it up, sealed it up, and now I just put a coat of, I put some primer on, and now I put some trim clad just to seal it off real good. And when I'm all done this, the fenders, which are right over there, will go back on, and I will clean and undercoat them all really good. So that's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Again, like and subscribe.